Within Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings trilogy, the central symbol that best embodies its 3 volumes in their entirety is not the ring. A tempting option, since Frodo's quest to destroy the Ring of Power is the goal guiding the entire narrative. But the truest thematic symbol for the trilogy is this. The Mirror of Galadriel most accurately represents the consistently reflective nature of Tolkien's work. For within the mirror, characters see what they may be or might have been. Middle-earth itself is a deeply reflective place. Species are abominated versions of one another. Characters alike in thematic function carry reflected virtues. These repeating antithetical pairs are evident in nearly every aspect of the trilogy, in themes, places, species, events, and characters. By layering the design of his novels with these constantly opposing concepts, the structure of Tolkien's work is defined by polarities. Each character recalls another, each object encountered by the reader mirrors another, and for each land in which the characters find themselves, there exists an antithesis. In this video, I want to explore some of these carefully constructed contrasts to see how they've helped this iconic text resonate so universally with the reading public, even now over 6 decades after its initial publication. Let's start with an examination of 2 places, the forest of Fangorn and the land of Ithilien. Fangorn sits on the edge of the Riddermark, vast, wild, and inhabited by creatures of legend to the inhabitants of Middle-earth, the Ents, but noticeably not by any of the races of the Free People. Conversely, Ithilien is a region defined by the Kingdom of Gondor and the presence of men, but one that is also emblematic of nature. The Garden of Gondor, bordering Mordor, is described as so strikingly beautiful that the exhausted hobbits Frodo and Sam are in awe of its wonders. Here spring was already busy about them. Fronds pierced moss and mold, larches were green-fingered, small flowers were opening in the turf, birds were singing. The graceful display of nature in Ithilien provides a nurturing, healing quality that the hobbits sorely need, while also offering a thematic contrast to the desolate, wintry landscape of Mordor, of which at this point in the story, they are on the precipice of. A character's relationship to nature is a sort of moral measure in The Lord of the Rings. One's closeness and respect for nature is a meter of goodness, while a distance and disrespect towards nature an indicator of evil. You could say then that Ithilien represents a healthy coexistence with and stewardship of nature. Conversely, in Fangorn, we see Saruman and the forces of Isengard seeking to inflict dominion over nature, destroying much of the Great Forest and incurring the wrath of the Ents. With certain characters, we can see dichotomies within themselves as well as contrasted against other characters. The brothers Boromir and Faramir, for example, have antithetical reactions when encountering the ring. Boromir can't be left alone with Frodo without falling under the spell of the ring, and on Parth Galen, in the only scene where the two are alone, Boromir pleads with Frodo to bring the ring to Minas Tirith to aid in the fighting against Mordor. When words fail, Boromir lashes out. "I am too strong for you, halfling," and he sprang over the stone and leaped at Frodo. His fair and pleasant face was hideously changed. A raging fire was in his eyes. In the end, it's a combination of both his desire for the ring, but also an act of heroism that lead Boromir to his death, as he's killed in a hail of orc arrows defending the hobbits Merry and Pippin. In demonstrating both the overreaching weakness of men, but also their capacity for nobility, Boromir represents a complex combination of opposites, and his death, which is a result of both a treacherous betrayal of Frodo and the righteous defense of Merry and Pippin, reflect this contradiction. In sharp contrast to his brother, Faramir does not attempt to take the ring by force or rhetoric. When he learns the enormity of Frodo's task, he treats him with courtesy and kindness. Samwise remarks on the moral stature Faramir demonstrates, saying, "Good night, Captain, my lord. You took the chance, sir." "Did I so?" said Faramir. "Yes, sir, and you showed your quality. The very highest." Pride and despair are two inverted and interwoven emotions experienced by all of the leaders of the free people in Middle-earth, and how those characters react to that confluence defines their legacy in the story. Theoden and Denethor represent reflective opposites in this case. While both do not survive the Battle of Pelennor Fields, one of many parallels between the two, the people of Middle-earth venerate Theoden after his death for the pride he displayed in the face of despair, while Gandalf chastises Denethor for abandoning his post and sinking into despondency. We see here also a polarity of duty and abandonment, where the wise and true throughout the story have little hope in facing despair but do not succumb, while others relinquish their pride and embrace their own destruction. Different species or groups of beings in Middle-earth typically reflect opposing thematic purposes, generally associating with the forces of good or evil. The divergence in the lineage of the orcs from elves, or the inferred connection between trolls and ents, are two well-documented contrasts. But even among the beasts of Middle-earth, we see reflective functions, such as between the great eagles and the fell beasts of the Nazgul. Both appear periodically throughout the text, but with an opposite effect. Both are wild creatures, but the eagles are allies to the free peoples of Middle-earth, whilst the fell beasts are bound to the will of the Nazgul. The eagle chief, Gwaihir, is seen multiple times, first freeing Gandalf from Isengard, then again rescuing Gandalf from the peak of Zirak-Zagil after defeating the Balrog, and lastly delivering Frodo and Sam off the slopes of Mount Doom after the ring has been destroyed. The eagles, like the ents, are emblematic of the majestic and noble qualities in nature, and where the eagles willingly choose to help the free people, the fell beasts are magically bound to their masters. They strike fear into the hearts of the free people, reflecting the horror evoked by the Nine Riders themselves. During the siege of Minas Tirith, the terror felt from the emitting cries of the fell beasts is harrowingly described. The Nazgul came again, and as their Dark Lord now grew and put forth his strength, so their voices, which uttered only his will and malice, were filled with evil and horror. More unbearable they became, not less at each new cry. At length even the stout-hearted would fling themselves to the ground as the hidden menace passed over them, letting their weapons fall from nerveless hands while into their minds a blackness came. The polarities exhibited by Tolkien's characters are generally of a similar variation, in that they are all sets of characters that are either contrasts or parallels of one another, modeled to express a key concept. Saruman and Gandalf parallel and contrast one another to express concepts of faith and freedom. In Tolkien's mythology, Saruman and Gandalf are both one of the Maiar, a sort of archangel-like figure in the hierarchy of divine beings. 5 of the Maiar, including Saruman and Gandalf, were sent to Middle-earth at the beginning of the Third Age to assist the people against the rising forces of Sauron. This group would be known as the Istari, the 5 wizards of Middle-earth. 4 of the 5 would lose sight of the mission for which they were sent, choosing instead to indulge their own curiosities and ambitions. It's only Gandalf of this group that chooses to continuously assist the inhabitants of Middle-earth, working tirelessly against the rising evil and threat of Sauron. Saruman, conversely, chooses what appears to be the guaranteed success by allying with Sauron compared to the arduous, noble endeavor he was originally tasked. Despite the influence of his ensnarement by the Palantir, and by extension Sauron, Saruman still had a choice, and his corruption and compliance with injustice is what results in his reduction in power, leading to the rebirth of Gandalf in the form of Saruman as he should have been. There are plenty of other polarities I could continue to outline in near perpetuity. Aragorn and Arwen as representative of the polarity between death and immortality, of which Tolkien stated in one of his famed letters was the core theme of The Lord of the Rings. Arwen and Éowyn as contrasting examples of femininity, the Shire and Mordor as reflective opposites in moral geography. The list goes on, but this entire endeavor has been a potent reminder that so much of literature's power operates subconsciously, that the vast majority of us can experience a novel in its entirety, yet never be aware or find the need to search for structure or themes or cohesiveness of style. The effect of the many polarities throughout The Lord of the Rings is a prevalent sense of unity, that there's a seamless connection between everything that lies within Tolkien's world, contributing to a reality so vivid, so elusively tangible, that we can't help but get lost in it. These reflective elements are the foundation of Middle-earth, and whether they know it or not, every time a reader glimpses into these novels, a world of elements is being mirrored back at them. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I absolutely adore the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I'm sure this won't be the last time I make a video on the subject. As always, if you have any thoughts you'd like to share, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below. Leave a like or subscribe to support the channel, and don't forget to have a good day, have a good life, and I'll see you on the next one.